Hey, look, we're live. Welcome
Hey,
to
we're
Cult
live. Well,
EXE, a channel here on Plus
yeah,
One EXP. Oh, I'm reading your part of the script, aren't I, Sarah?
it's okay. Who are you?
I'm Geek EXE. I'm the content necromancer and cult leader here at Plus One.
And I'm Sarah. I'm the high level monk and other cult leader. The Plus One is a weird little brand, the multi classes in tabletop game design, beard and skincare alchemy, and the Bardic College of Content Creation. The dream and hope here at Plus One is to help amazing designers find great players who love their games and help amazing players find great designers whose games they can love. Today, you're joining us for Character Study, a cult classic where we sit down with folks all across the TTRPG space to learn more about their character in the systems they love and out of game. We're taking audience questions and we'll be talking about them. So I'm still right. So feel free to chime in with questions as we move along.
Our guest today is Jeff Stormer, an award-winning copywriter, podcaster, and game designer living in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. He hosts Party of One, an actual play focused on two-player RPGs, All My Fantasy Children, a collaborative storytelling and world-building podcast. He designed When You're Here, Your Family, the Olive Garden LARP, and he's the unofficial king of eggnog. Jeff, hi, welcome to the show.
Those are all true things. I take those titles with humility. I also recognize that they are exactly correct, and if anybody has issue with them, let's have some conversations. Bring it. Step to me. I think it's the energy I want to bring to this from the moment one.
Like
I think directly confrontational with the audience feels like the right starting note, right? Like that's the vibe.
Yeah,
that's 100% the vibe. Yeah.
Just ready to pick a fight about anything at any moment.
Yeah.
I like it. So Jeff, we've invited you on here to create a character in a system that you love. Would you mind sharing with us what system that is?
Of course. It is a game called Anyone Can Wear the Mask, which is a superhero role-playing game for 1 to 3 players. It is a game that I wrote and published in December of 2020. And it is inspired by stories like Superman, Batman, particularly like heroes and their relationship to the cities and the people that they protect. It is my favorite thing that I have written. It is a thing that I am intensely proud of, and it is a game that it is the game that if I were to be asked about a thing, it's the first kind of game that comes to mind because it is so specifically all of the things that I love wrapped up in a small little package.
Before we get into it, I want to ask the question, because one thing with game designers I've noticed is like when they write games, you talk to them about it, there's always like an inciting incident that makes it so like this is the game that I will write, like this is the thing that I will do. What was your inciting incident?
My inciting incident for Anyone Can Wear the Mask was that I played the game Anyone Can Wear the Mask was based on, which was Beyond the Rift. And when we played Beyond the Rift, I sat with it for a really long time, and it just like it hit me in the gut, and I was like, this has the bones of a game that can replicate Superman, which is a uniquely difficult thing to do in tabletop RPGs. It's a thing that, as somebody that thinks about Superman more than is a reasonable amount, it clicked into place. And I guess the other inciting incident is me at 5 years old watching Batman the Animated Series in my living room and going, oh, I guess superheroes are going to be the thing that I fixate on for the rest of my life. I guess this is it, huh? This is as far as it's going to go. Great. Okay. I've now known myself, and I will continue to know myself for the remainder of my days.
This is amazing. And I also love that this is going to continue to feed that Character Study is actually just a Batman fan cast. So I really appreciate that.
It's fair and valid.
We're going to find out Jeff also has stress streams where he coaches Batman through life's hardest problem.
Yeah.
I wish my stress streams were that exciting, honestly.
We did this with Ray, and he told us that was every time he gets really stressed, he has a dream that Batman comes in with the exact problems he's suffering and is like, what should I do?
I wish my stress streams were that good. They're sadly not that interesting.
Yeah.
We can't all be that lucky.
I feel that. It's true. So without any further ado, I feel like let's hop into it. Let's jump into creating Jeff, the person, an idealized version in Anyone Can Wear the Mask.
Let's do it. I should probably have the game open that I wrote and that I'm talking about and promoting on this exact thing. It'd probably be helpful.
Helpful, but like it's fine. Everything's fine.
I do feel like the way that I run games is largely based off of a vibe that I vaguely remember from a rulebook that I don't have open in front of me. So maybe in some ways this feels more true to the experience of sitting down with me to play a game is like, that sounds right. That's probably a rule in there somewhere. If you came to me and you were like, aren't we supposed to be, putting our pieces on the board? I'd go, yeah, lay them out the way that you think they should be laid out, and then we'll go from there. That sounds right.
I like that though, because to me, like you're gonna get to the good stuff faster that way than if you're like, well, actually, so I'm a fan. I'm highly supportive.
So there's a few pieces that go into. So the interesting thing, the interesting thing about Anyone Can Wear the Mask is that like character creation is you kind of create everyone's character at the same time, and there are 3 of us here, and so it feels right to go through like the whole experience of like making stuff for the game.
Hell yeah, let's do it.
Because like as much as the hero is an important piece of things, like having the city outlined is like an equally important step in the process, and it really like so much of the 2 things are informed by one another that I'm looking at the character roles and I'm like, we should really map out what the city is prior to like getting to who this hero is and what they do and what the things are about them.
Yeah, that sounds good to me.
So I'm envisioning like, obviously this is I included it in the bio because I knew that we were going to be doing this, but the city is Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, and it is my vision of Philadelphia, Pennsylvania is like a large, impossibly large and busy city, because it is the thing that I love about Philadelphia is that it is a city that there's constantly stuff going on. Having lived a lot of places and having lived in a lot of environments, like that's the thing that I've come to love about Philadelphia is that there is never a dull moment, and I've lived in a lot of places that have a lot of dull moments, and I get bored and angry very, very easily.
Philadelphia does have a lot going on, but I was also there for 4 days for an event. So I'm not sure how accurate my personal assessment of the city would be.
See, but that's actually kind of the thing that I want to experience Philadelphia through both of your collective experience for a moment, because it is the city that I call home, and I like getting other people's pictures of the city that I can then fill in with other strange and wonderful details.
My experience of Philadelphia was I flew in from the West because I'm from Utah. And as I came in, I saw like the beautiful downtown area, and I saw these towering red lights that like went up and down. And I was like, what the heck are those? So I landed and I asked someone who lives there, Tony, hey, tell me what's the deal with these weird red lights? They're just like these tall tower things, like northwest side.
Mm-hmm.
What the hell are these? And Tony looked at me like I was a crazy person and I had invented these from the ether. And I was like, no, they're real. I saw them with my eyes.
That sounds right. It sounds right that both you would see some weird otherworldly lights, and then if you tried to present them to someone from Philly, they'd go, "The fuck are you talking about?"
You like this is made up. You made this up. And I was like,
well,
okay.
Obsessed with this tower for days.
She
got on the highway. She was like, "Oh my god, look, I got a picture of it," and she sent us the single most dog shit phone camera photo of these towers from. They were like this big in the photo. Like, Tony, what do you mean you can't tell me what these are?
I was really upset because the picture I got was very much like a Sasquatch in the wild kind of picture, which added to the fact that like they're made up, and I was so irritated, but it was the only picture I could get. And I was like, you know what?
That feels
I'm
right.
sticking to my guns. It was perfect. It was absolutely what needed to happen. But that's my experience of Philadelphia. There was too many museums. I was sad that I wasn't able to see them all. And there were these ancient eldritch horror lights that seemingly only I could perceive.
It was the Roxborough Towers. I do just want this on record for anyone else in Philly. They exist. They are to the northwest. Sarah was right. I was wrong.
But I like that it took some effort to get to, yes, this is a very ordinary thing that is not.
Me and Tony were in an Uber the next day, and we're going down the road, and Tony went, shit. I went, Tony, what is it? And he went, look up. They're just the entire skyline. And he went, those are to the northwest. Shit. Just the most disappointed we've ever been to find out that something was real.
That's fair. That's a very Philadelphian experience, is like the realization that something is real and then the disappointment in that fact. More because you've lost the ability to lord it over someone.
Ooh.
Awesome.
So, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. We have an idea of how large Philadelphia is. It is the 5th largest city in America. It is a major metropolis. It is a large city, and the thing that makes it interesting is that it is a large city, right? And the interesting thing about Philly in particular, the thing that I think is interesting as it relates to the game itself, is that it is, and the thing that I love about it, and this is some Jeff gets personal, because I think this is the nature of character study and how we are doing this. Philly is a city of neighborhoods, and like it is very that is true of a lot of cities, but it's pronounced in Philadelphia in a way that it is not pronounced in a lot of other cities. You can walk 6 blocks in Philadelphia and be in a different city, and like look around, and you see that you are visibly in a different city, and I really love that. I love the level of it's actually, and honestly, like it's one of the things that informed this piece of the game beyond just you have 4 suits of a deck of cards. It's like one of the things that really defined it was I love the neighborhoods in Philly. I love the way that they look different, the way that the people in them are different, the histories are different. There are traditions, there are neighborhood traditions that like are bafflingly specific and accepted in a way that is just truly unlike any of the other cities that I lived. I just recently learned about another one of these traditions last night or the night before.
Ooh.
There's a particular neighborhood in South Philly in the Italian Market area where like the block itself every year just gets together and lights the entire street for like with there's like goes completely overboard in holiday decorating their block to the point where it's listed on Google Maps as this is the block with the Christmas decorations. And I'm like,
Amazing.
that's when I say Philly's a city of neighborhoods. Like that's what I mean, is that like you just have like a city block that's like, yeah, we all like each other. Let's all decorate the street together, and that becomes our thing. So that is the energy. So let me ask, this is me turning the interview around. Let me ask the both of you, in your 4 days in Philly, you spent a lot of time in Center City because that was where the convention was. Like, what other sights, sounds, smells did you experience in Philly that like captivate you?
Ooh.
As we are talking about the great city of Philadelphia.
Yeah, hold please, because I don't know neighborhoods or where I was.
That's
I'll go
fine.
first.
It can be imprecise.
Yeah, I'm gonna go first because this is just gonna be like I'm gonna expose what a nerd I am. So I was in the historical district a lot, and just being able to see like I'm from Utah, where everything's like wood and has rotted away, and like there's very few things that have been around for a really long time. And what was really cool about being in Philly was like there was stuff that's been around since the US was a thing, right? And getting to see some of that and like experience some of that was wild.
I love Old City. Old City, like the Old City, the historic district is like, it's gorgeous. It's beautiful. And it's like, I was walking around there yesterday and it's just a gorgeous, it's a cool thing to walk around. And it's something that I truly love as an experience. Like, you're exactly right. It is a thing that I love. It is like a key part of like what I like about Philadelphia is like you wander into a thing that has stood here since the 17th. Like you can walk past Ben Franklin's house. And like that's just, and it's just there. It's between a mini mart and a bar that Mac from Always Sunny bought 15 years ago that has remarkably stayed open due entirely to Always Sunny themed tourists.
It's very, and like where I get in my Lyft to go to the convention center, and we turn on this one street where it's like old cobblestones, and you have to like slow down because like it's all janky. It's not like an asphalt road, and even that was cool, where it was just like, oh shit, like this has been here for a minute. And it just kind of puts you in a different headspace, I think. When particularly like with cities, like this is people have been here, lived here. The land is different because of it.
That's one of the things that I like. That truly is like what makes Philly special as a place to me. Is that like, and you get a very similar thing. Like like I guess that's our first neighborhood, and our second neighborhood of West Philly, which is where I live, is you get a similar experience because like West Philly is interesting because like it is a neighborhood, like the collection of neighborhoods that make up West Philly are all very united by the trolley lines. Like they're very trolley line. They're very tied to the existence of the trolley, which is itself a weird old timey thing that
I
like
love it.
it's great. I love it so much. And it makes driving in West Philly an absolute pain in the ass because you are driving the whole time on trolley tracks. It sucks, and I love it.
So here's a fun thing: is Philly's extremely similar, in my opinion, at least, to DC, which is where I live. It's like city of neighborhoods is exactly the same. A completely undrivable historic area with a trolley line. We just got one of those finally. But yeah, it has a lot of the same vibes. Which I don't know. It was interesting being in Philly because it felt a lot like I had just driven somewhere different in DC than I'd been before.
That's really funny.
Yeah.
Honestly, having driven in DC, you're not wrong. Like having gone through DC, like you're extremely not wrong.
Yeah, there's a reason I don't have a car in DC.
It's not the wrong decision. I have a car. If I hadn't had jobs for a very, very long time that were out of the city, I might not have a car. Because like I can get through the city well enough via public transit, but like having a car is nice to get to like the grocery store and things, but like truly it's also a huge pain in the ass because all of our parking is street parking, and like finding there's always that roll of the dice that is, am I going to park in front of my house or am I parking 8 blocks away? Let's see how this goes.
When I first moved to DC, I had a car and we parked at we had what was vaguely a parking spot, and one day the landlord came and was like, "Hey, if you want to use this parking spot, it's gonna be $1,000 a month."
Like, well, all right then.
Yeah, I guess I'm getting rid of my car. That's a great reason. I just finished paying it off too. It was great.
Interesting. Yeah, I'm not gonna do that. Okay, cool.
Yeah. Hard pass.
He told me if I got my shit together, I could get a parking pass, and I was like, "Where would I park?"
Interesting. I see your offer, and I'm going to counter you an offer where I don't do that, and I give you no money.
Yeah, I sold my car for like $200 to a friend or something. I was like, you would honestly be doing me a favor. We're just paying because it makes you more comfortable.
sort of a $1 bet from Trading Play. We hand off the $1 bill. We shake hands.
Yeah.
The transaction is complete.
This is fine. Just please take the car. I don't want it anymore. All
right, so we've got Historic District. We've got West Philly. It looks like we need 2 more neighborhoods. Yeah,
2 more neighborhoods. Like the 2 other neighborhoods that I probably like hang out the most in is actually Center City, where the both of you were for the convention. Is probably like the that's like it's a city, right? Like there's a big downtown district, like it is the place where all of the awful miserable businesses are. Like I think it's always fun, and anyone can wear the mask, to just have like a section that kind of sucks. And you're like, we're full of like shitty capitalists, and that's Center City. Hey baby. I don't know. I do think it's a thing that I think that I love experiencing when I'm in Philly, when I'm in Philly, as if that's not 95.
When I'm near, around, by Philly.
When I find myself in my home. I love, like, West Philly doesn't feel like a city. And that's true of a lot of the neighborhoods. I think that's equally true of Old City. It doesn't feel like you are in a capital C city.
Mhm.
Whereas Center City, like, you are undenied. There's the Comcast building and there's like City Hall. Like, you are in a downtown. And I like that experience of like going home or going into. Jen always gives me grief because I like we'll talk about going into Center City and I'll just say going into the city. And she's like, you're in the city right now. You're
It's
right.
different.
But the
It's
experience,
different.
like, I'm emerging it from a subway tunnel into a place with big buildings and it's cold and windy. Like, the experience is different.
It really is different going from somewhere where everything's like 2 to 4 stories to like, oh, there's like tall buildings here.
There's
suddenly.
skyscrapers.
Yeah.
Oh, here are the skyscrapers. And I think that's Center City to me. And I have to think about what the fourth thing is.
Yeah. I think it's funny. It's the one thing DC doesn't have that Philly does is there's a rule in DC that no buildings can be taller than the Washington Monument. So we just like fundamentally can't have skyscrapers.
And the Washington Monument's also not that big.
It really isn't.
Amazing.
Like, you get the idea, like, from its culture, it's like cultural presence that it's very big, and then you see it in person, you're like, oh, all right, well.
Yeah, it's the actual size of things in DC is very funny because you'll be like, oh yeah, no, the monument's gonna be huge, and it's like, okay, it's smaller than I expected, and you'll go to like the Lincoln Memorial, and it's like, oh god, Lincoln's fucking massive. He's way bigger than he has any right to be.
The Lincoln Memorial is so fucking large.
It's bigger than you would think, and I think it's because you largely see it on a penny.
100%.
Or you see it like in cartoons and TV where they shoot it to where it doesn't look mammoth.
You're like, oh, I'm like the size of a shoe. What the fuck?
Okay. So I think I have a controversial move here.
Ooh, lovely.
We're taking the game in an unexpected direction. I think the fourth neighborhood has to be Twitter.com.
Amazing. Yes.
I'm putting it down. Yeah.
Full send. Full support.
I think the fourth neighborhood. Like, if I'm thinking about the places where I spend my day,
amazing.
I'm thinking about the journey that I have online as represented by Twitter.com.
Yeah. Twitter.com. Description: the mines.
Gosh dang it.
The mines. The places that suck.
Yeah. The places that are bad.
I love that we're like, yeah, we're gonna do Center City. You know, it's the section of the city that sucks. Immediately followed by, here's the entire website Twitter.
It's as if Center City is built upon the ruins and like there's like you descend down through a dark and gooey cavern to Twitter.com.
It's
where all the trash
opening
in the
to the
city.
dungeon, right? Like,
yeah,
it's the
100%,
you see
100%.
an ominous cave opening, and you're like, well, there beyond lies evil.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. The reason Center City is the way that it is it's the proximity to pure evil. Like it's doing its best.
Yeah, shockingly, Historic District, West Philly, Center City, Twitter feels like a pretty accurate summation of my day, and I don't like it. I no longer
what
like
I'm saying
this,
about myself so far.
and I'd like to go home.
That's great. Let's just cut back to the promo screen and we can start all over again.
Okay, great.
We're just pretending it didn't happen.
Right,
We're just gonna play. We're gonna play When You're Here, We're Family. I'll order us all some pasta. We'll get it in front of us. We'll call it there.
Amazing.
Hello and welcome to. This was a great sight gag that's just not gonna show up anymore.
I realized what was happening and then clicked
I didn't.
over. Like, I clicked over to my Twitch tab to see the payoff of the bit.
Yeah.
And let me tell you, worth it. Legitimately worth
that
it.
click.
Oh. Cool. Well, that's our 4 neighborhoods at least.
Yeah, that's our 4 neighborhoods. That's what I love about each of them. So let's talk about our hero. Obviously, my power level is that I am a living god.
Yeah.
I think that's fair.
Yeah, no, it's you were an idealized version of yourself, and we've gone with you.
Yeah.
So the hero, like, is the heart of Anyone Can Wear the Mask. It's interesting, the hero, like, the thing I like about the hero is that the hero doesn't For a long time, I said the hero doesn't actually do anything, and it's not entirely. Somebody had to correct me and be like, "The hero is the note-taking role, and that's my favorite role." And I was like, "Oh yeah, I guess there are people that enjoy that activity as a thing." I didn't even process that. I was just like,
You're
"The
talking
hero
at
does
Sarah
work."
right now.
we're just not gonna not look at my like 20 notebooks that are all color coded and I have a specific system. It's fine.
I get it. No, believe me, I get it. I broke out my set of pens today. I have my
Oh,
beloved.
nice.
I have my
Yes.
beloved set of pens,
You
and I
just
had
had
to
to say set of pens, and I was right there with you.
and I had to like, I hadn't cracked open. I have a Petty Fours box from the company that makes the Petty Fours at Christmas that you order from, that I filled with pens, and it had broken open in my backpack, so I had to do an emergency evaluation to make sure all of the individual colors of pens were represented, that none of them were missing.
This is
So when
excellent.
I say there's no judgment here,
Yeah,
I need you to know what I'm working with.
I like that. I do need to know, were all colored pens?
All of the so all of the colors were represented. Not
That's
all of
important.
the individual pens were represented. I'm not sure where a few of them have ended up, but because I've purchased the same 8-pack of multicolored pens, because there's one
Yeah.
brand.
Tell
There's
us the
one brand.
Drop the name.
It is the Signo Uniball
Oh, yeah.
medium. I think it's the medium 205.
Nice.
Let me confirm this. I have to do a quick scan to make sure that that's the one that I like.
My goal by the end of this is to have like a so you want to be Jeff Stormer kind of kit that people can do. Like here's the pens, here's the neighborhood that you can go hang out in.
Twitter, right?
It's really just the
it's
Jeff Stormer
Twitter.com.
experience.
It's the Jeff Stormer experience is that you buy some very specific pens and then you don't use them because you look on Twitter, you see a take that makes you frustrated, and you just sort of like sit with that take as you work on things.
And then you just lay in bed for the rest of the day if it's me.
Yeah, like you just like and like you really like. I need to emphasize that the things that are happening when we're drawing cards in the Twitter.com neighborhood is really Jeff sees a take that he thinks is obnoxious and proceeds to go about his day doing work, but periodically will just stop and go, but here's why that's annoying though. Like I'm not doing that. I'm going to write a tweet. Nope, delete this tweet. I'm not.
Yep.
I'm going to go take, I'm going to go pour myself some Coca-Cola. That's the play.
Honestly, that's so much smarter. I wish I was that strong.
Okay, so the pens in question, it is the Signo Uniball, the Uniball Signo 207 retractable gel pen, the 0.5 millimeter. I tend to like the micro to ultra micro.
Okay.
I like, but I'll go up to the medium in terms of like the medium point for color purposes.
I am going to clip this later just so I have it for a Christmas list because it feels like a thing I need to get my husband.
I love them. They run incredibly smoothly. They make an 8-pack that comes in all of the colors.
Ooh.
So you can get all of the, you get blue, dark blue, you get red, orange, green, blue, dark blue, purple, pink, and black. It's usually like between $12 and $15. It's the thing that I use for all, and then I individually color code all of these things to different areas of my life to make sure that I'm tracking the individual areas of my life. This is now a note-taking podcast. This is now a
I was gonna say
podcast.
This has become like we're hitting so many different areas, like, and I'm here for it. You've got your geography, your TripAdvisor, you've got your stationery for when you get a postcard, you want to send it home. Here's the goods there. This is a helpful resource for all of
your
your
needs.
This is what
we're talking about for the next 2 hours. Like, I'm sorry to anybody who was like, we're gonna learn about game stuff, but
and
like
now notebooks.
I have a lot of pen opinions.
I love the idea that someone would come to watch this and be like, "Oh, they're not talking about games at all," and it's like, "Yeah, babe, that's the stream."
Gotcha.
This is how it always happens.
We bring them in and then we pull the rug. That's how it works.
It's not how it works is the whole thing. That being said, I guess that was a great time to go. I guess we're back to the hero page.
Yeah, we are talking about our hero.
We're talking about the hero. I don't remember how. That's what I like about the hero is I like the note taking. I like the map drawing. But to define the hero, we answer a few questions. How powerful are you? My ideal Jeff Stormer as the hero of this story. I would probably put myself as a friendly neighborhood hero.
That feels right.
Because like I know the things like if I am exaggerating the notable skills that I have and the things that make the things that make me stand out into a superheroic category, that's about the level of like world changing that they can impact. If I clock you as a weird nerd, I can maybe say my name and have you recognize it. Possibly.
I like that.
I can whip up a really great episode of a podcast. And there's a non-zero chance that you have played the Olive Garden, that you have heard of the Olive Garden LARP that I wrote 5 years ago. These feel like friendly, like pumped up to super heroic. These feel like friendly neighborhood hero in terms of scale.
I agree with that. I also love like just looking at the different suggestions here. Like friendly neighborhood hero is the one that feels the most directly impactful on the lives around them. You know what I mean? Like it's the Mr. Rogers, right? Like it's the person that like makes you feel special and like actually has a direct influence on like whether or not you have a good day or not. I like that. I think that's wonderful.
Absolutely. Where do my powers come from? That's a big question.
It's very different when you're answering the question about yourself than it is after Horse Girl, the hero you invented for this.
Yeah, right. Like it's much easier when you're just kind of like, well, yeah, Horse Girl. Sure, I know where that power comes from, but that turns into so much weightier question.
Go-to was Horse Girl.
I want you to know, Sarah, it's because I have played this game multiple times using Horse Girl as my hero. Her power is unrelated to horses.
And allow me to say this on camera. It means so much to me that has happened. I truly cannot emphasize that enough.
This is wonderful.
Where do my powers come from? Science, magic, technology, ancestry. Who even knows powers? What powers? It's probably, I would list it as technology. I think if I were mapping this out, technology feels right. I think that it is a natural, like I think that the things that I do are technologically driven. And that feels like the core of what powers the stuff that I do.
Yeah, that makes sense. Especially with like Twitter as a neighborhood.
Yeah. Existing in the online space like that really awful 90s Johnny Quest cartoon. Am I the only person that remembers that has experienced this baffling piece of pop culture?
No, I've seen Johnny Quest. I've seen it like once, maybe.
Oh yeah.
Well, okay. Have you seen a cartoon called The Real Adventures of Johnny Quest, which is from the 1990s and includes an entire subplot where they go on to the web?
No,
amazing.
This is incredible.
Please look up photos of The Real Adventures of Johnny Quest, and hopefully you see some photos of the web.
The web.
I'm on it. I'm doing this right now. No one can see it.
Oh,
but,
there is. You can get some photo. There's. God, it's like peak. It's like peak post reboot CG. I'm gonna just drop an image into our group chat.
Here we go. One second. Oh wait, I have to click the transition button. I know how to use Twitch.
Yes. Very good. Very good.
Yeah, these are incredible. This CGI is so good.
Oh, for the record, I see the comment in chat. The show was also I was deeply invested in the real adventures of Johnny Quest, more so than I should have been in retrospect, especially because I didn't have an attachment to original Johnny Quest. But something about Quest World really spoke to me on a personal level, and I think that's the vibe of me as superhero is that I spend a lot of time in the web.
No,
Yeah,
It's
this is
always
incredible.
very good.
it's always written in that bold italic comics font
Yes.
where it's capital T, capital
Mhm.
W.
Mm-hmm.
That's great. I'm gonna be thinking about the web for longer than I should be.
The web. And what exactly can you do? I think what is the superhero version of what it is that I do? I think it's web based. I think it's vaguely defined 90s CGI tech wizard magic is the best way is the
Okay.
superhero equivalent of this.
I love it.
Yeah, I'm thinking. Shit, what was his name? You'll know this. I won't. Who was fucking Static Shock's?
Oh god, hardware.
sidekick?
It's not hard. It's not hardware because hardware is a milestone character that is not on the Static Shock cartoon. Oh,
You know who I'm
Richie.
talking about.
Richie is his name,
Mhm.
but what is his? He has a superhero
Oh,
name.
did he? I don't remember this.
He's one of the first notably gay
It's
characters in animation. Gear.
Yeah.
Gear is his name. Yes, that's the vibe.
Yeah, cool.
Very good.
Static Shock, the cartoon I was way too into as a kid.
I mean, it's great is the thing.
Yeah,
like
the thing is the cartoon slapped.
I just recently watched the documentary they did about Milestone Comics, which is the company that gave that Static Shock comes from.
Mhm.
It's a very interesting documentary. There were problems and issues that I had with it as a documentary,
Ooh.
but I did think it was fucking interesting and it did just kind of like fill my heart getting to remember and experience all of these characters and see and just filled me with a lot of good Static Shock feelings.
Yeah. I'm gonna watch that
And
later. I've now bookmarked it.
it's an interesting doc. The thing is, like, it is here. No interview of Jeff Stormer is complete without some real comic book hot takes.
Let's
This is what you're here for,
go.
to be clear.
This is what I'm here for. It is a documentary made about a company that Dwayne McDuffie, one of the greatest comic book writers that ever lived, like built from the ground up, and it was made 10 years after Dwayne McDuffie died. And it is a documentary that if you know Dwayne McDuffie and his work, you can feel the moments where you're like, oh, I would have rather have heard his thoughts on this because I feel like there's a few moments where you're like, I feel like they're presenting this in a more diplomatic way than maybe he would have said had he still been around to be on this documentary. And or I'm not sure this documentary would have gotten made because he may have gone just full scorched earth on the people at DC Comics.
Oof.
But
Yeah.
it's interesting. Like the actual stories are really interesting. It's just one of those things of like you can hear where bits of the story aren't being told. And I think it's super, super interesting in that respect.
Yeah, that's interesting. I'm still gonna watch this.
I recommend watching it, if nothing else, because there are great stories and getting to hear the story of like Milestone is a great company and a great story, and it's a bunch of characters in comics that I love a whole lot.
This is Milestone Generations, I believe.
That is correct. Yeah,
Cool,
it's the
cool.
one on. It just dropped on HBO Max. I think like a couple months, maybe in September. Like it's fairly new.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I'm excited.
Anyway, 90s tech wizardry.
Love it.
Like that kind of weird. Like I like the vibe of. It's the vibe of like. It's very like bad cyberpunk. I think is the
Yes.
aesthetic.
Yes.
It's very, you jack into a console and then you do some Doctor Strange ass magic and then you jack back out and like that's I think a lot of the aesthetic is what we're playing with in this playground.
It's the movie
like
Hackers.
that.
I'm following.
Sure, it's very much
would-
the movie Hackers.
How many loose wires are involved? That's all I really want to know. Like, how many microchips are you pulling out to just reveal a tangled mess of wire?
I think you gotta pull out like a cassette tape and then put it into a
Oh,
different
yes.
slot.
Yes. I like this.
And then the art style changes when you're in the web. And it becomes
Oh.
like this big, like interpretive, like watercolory thing.
Oh, I like that. I like that a lot.
That's the aesthetic, I think.
I like that it goes into
Excellent.
interpretive watercolor instead of like bad CGI.
See, and I was even thinking just like angry black and white with splashes of red for the web, where it's just like it's nothing until it's
The
violence.
web's just Sin City.
Yeah, straight up.
I think it's gotta be like the reality is that it's gotta be gayer than that is the thing.
That's fair. That's totally fair.
You're not wrong.
So like I know enough of like the realities of where I've like my online experience is just like listening to videos of the sad end of TV shows that I like and crying that like a nice watercolor vibe is correct. Enough of my online is going, you know what? I'm going to listen to Randy Newman's song from the end of Monk for a few minutes.
Yes.
It was a real sweet
I'm
song,
here
Randy
for it.
Newman.
It's a good show.
Everyone's
It's
gonna
so
cry. We're
good.
gonna have to go to commercial.
It's me going, you know what I like is the movie Klaus, the Santa Claus movie. I'm going to just
Freaking
watch
I
the
love
last
that
two.
movie.
It's a great movie. I'm going to watch
It's
the
so
last 2
good.
minutes of it. Oh, I'm emotional now. Great. All right, back to work.
Gonna
This
get
is-
back into it.
Here's a true story about me. My mom is the movie that makes her very emotional, and she watches it all the time, regardless of time of year. I need to point this out. Regardless of time of year, is the Santa Claus.
Oh my god.
And she gets to the part where Judy Elf says, "Seeing isn't believing, believing is seeing," and she sobs so hard she has to like pause the TV. You can like hear her across out, just I believe. It's incredible. Christmas around my house is wild.
This is the most
Why?
buck wild thing I've ever heard.
Yeah, my mom's a
Why?
dance teacher, right? And she gives the speech during her recital every year, and for years she tried to get through including that quote in her speech.
Oh
And to be up
no.
there and she's like, I really believe that.
Oh no.
1 second.
Oh no.
And she'd get off stage like, I can't believe I fucking cried about an elf again.
That's the vibe. I can't believe I cried about a fucking elf again.
All right, I feel obligated to share my I shouldn't cry at this, but I cry a lot at this
Yes.
thing. The movie, the 2008 John C. Reilly cinematic masterpiece Walk Hard, the Dewey Cox story. A legitimately great film. I
love that
one of
movie.
my favorite movies ever made.
I've never seen a case of being cut in half so bad.
Wrong kid. I truly see now how easy it is to be cut in half in a machete battle. There are moments in the closing song that like legit get me emotional, and I'm like, I know that this song is like a parody of bad end of life semi-Christian rock songs, but I'm like,
This is so good.
I get it. I get it. Yeah. It is a beautiful ride.
I feel it. I feel the pain of his art.
I see his life's journey and I see it reflected in this song. It does get me legit
This is
very emotional,
wonderful.
and I feel embarrassed by this fact.
This is great. I think it's wonderful. I'm highly supportive. I cry it up. I cry at everything. I'm the biggest ball baby.
I mean, you and me both. Like I say that as though like there are not just a mountain of stuff that just knocks me over.
Absolutely devastates me. Like it's that thing. It's really awkward when I'm watching a movie that I haven't seen before that might have like a somewhat emotionally touching moment with someone I've never watched like a movie with before. Because they will see me cry. Like it's like, and it makes a lot of people real uncomfortable. But I'm like, listen, it's just so nice that neighbor did that thing. And it doesn't have to be like large. It's oftentimes not. I watched The Irishman, and we're getting to like the big end of the movie where the main character has to make a difficult choice, and I'm crying. Like, I'm not okay. And my boyfriend looks over at me and he's like, "You realize you're crying because murderers are murdering." And I was like, "But he doesn't want to." Just like losing it.
Bringing the show back around to its truest roots, which is not to say the game that we're playing,
Okay,
but
cool,
to
cool,
say
cool.
that the show exists as a Batman fan cast
Correct.
stream.
Mm-hmm.
Can I point to a guaranteed ugly tears factory within the Batman cinematic or the Batman media empire?
Absolutely, you can. Absolutely, you can.
You don't
Have
even have
you
to
ever-
ask. Just bring it in.
Can I talk to you both about the last episode of the cartoon Batman Brave and the Bold?
Please.
You can tell us everything about it.
So Batman Brave and the Bold is legit one of my favorite iterations of Batman, and it is a cartoon that emulates like Silver Age Batman team up comics. It's very cartoony. It's got Diedrich Bader as Batman doing like a very kind of Adam West cadence. It's very fun. And in the last episode, the Batmite, who is sort of Mr. Mixie's Pitlick, but for Batman, decides that he's going to get Batman Brave and the Bold canceled so that they make a new gritty version of the cartoon. He replaces Aquaman with Ted McGinley from Married with Children, because when Ted McGinley comes on a TV show, that show is more likely to be canceled. And like eventually like just keeps meddling with the show until the executives at DC see it and go, "We're canceling this show." And then like Batman points out that Batmite is a silly character and will not be present in the rebooted show. And then like the end of it is literally like they have all of the characters from Batman and the Brave and the Bold have a rap party, and they like tear
Amazing.
down the set and like move the props out of the Batcave, and they just have a moment where they're all like, "Hey, it was great being superheroes with you." And like the degree to which I am just ruined.
You know
The
what the
degree to which
worst part is? I haven't seen this. I have no connection to this TV show. Full body chills.
like the way I'm just like, they really did. You made fuck.
I was like, damn, Batmite really won't exist again.
But he was so clever and did a very good job destroying the TV show.
It's very, it's simultaneously very funny and just legit like watching them tear down the set and seeing the characters like eating chips. I'm like, oh, they're fun, they're eating chips. Oh, they're at the punch bowl. Nobody look at me for the next 45 minutes.
I do not wish to be perceived in this moment of my greatest need. This is wonderful and very, very good.
So that
What an adventure we've been on.
what a journey. Also,
So
I'm realizing I don't really know what else we need to do for.
It looks like we need to pick a suit.
Oh, wait, we need to pick a strong suit. The actual most important part of character creation.
Excellent.
I don't know what else we have to do. Oh, just the rest of set.
The
The most
whole of
important
it.
part.
The thing that like drives almost all of the game. So, the final piece of deciding who the hero is outlining how they help their city. They can use this is their strong suit. This is going to inform how many dice the villain rolls when you enter different cities, and like the relationship the hero has with different neighborhoods in the city. The 4 options are clubs, the shield of the people, protecting them so they can thrive. Diamonds, the icon that they look up to for inspiration. Hearts, the smiling face and a friend to those who need it. Or spades, the dark knight that avenges the injustice they suffer.
Mm.
Now, I believe that it is pretty clear which of those 4 options I should take, which is Spades, the Dark Knight, avenging injustice. I feel like anybody that has the 2 of you having interacted with me for the last hour, I think it's pretty clear that my vibe
100%.
is angry, vengeful knight.
Just dark emo vibes. My Chemical Romance on a rainy rooftop.
Real
Yeah.
R. Pat's Batman vibes. I'm putting on a lot of eyeliner.
Uh-huh.
I am standing on I'm standing on a gargoyle. There's rain coming down.
You're
That's
watching
the aesthetic.
You're watching, no one can tell you're crying as you watch a cartoon through like the window of someone's apartment because it's raining.
Okay, but that's legit the funniest visual.
Just Batman losing his shit.
Just a window and the tiny screen.
It's the final episode of the dinosaurs playing.
Oh no!
It's like I'm in the rain. I'm like, I have to protect this city and all the beauty that it represents. And it's Pam from The Office saying, like, there's a beauty in ordinary things. And it's a little on the nose that you just said what the show is about, but it still hits.
We've lost Sarah. She's gone.
It was a very good bit. Oh, I liked that one. So yeah, spades. We're going with spades.
I think I'm going to go with hearts. I think hearts, a smiling face, and a friend to those who need it feels right for the role that I play in the stories that I exist in.
I love this. I also want to backtrack us a little bit too, because there's some boxes under the vital information that I feel like are a lot of fun. Number 1, alter ego.
Oh,
Jeff, who's your alter ego for this character that's you?
That's right. I forgot that there is there are other things that I filled in here. Jeff Stormer's alter ego.
Only the most important question.
I love these kinds of questions that like you really have to just sit and think about. And that's why
I gotta sit and chew on it.
You gotta chew on them. And I feel like when you're making, even if you're making a different character, there's a sign of a good game is one that makes you go like, well, shit, I don't know. Like, let me think about that. Like,
and it's
what
a good,
is this
it's a
thing?
good thing to come back to the alter ego at this point.
Right.
Because like now I've got an idea of like what this character's deal is and what this idealized version of me, like the role that they inhabit.
Mm-hmm.
I think especially of Twitter, if we're using Twitter as a space,
Mm-hmm.
I think I have to be somewhat on the nose and make it at Party of One Pod.
Ooh, I love that.
I can't do an at in the actual Google sheet because then it wants me to like tag one of my documents, and I'd rather not like link you. I'd rather not link to my calendar and be like, here's my Tuesday. Jeff's alter ego is haircut Tuesday at 6.
Wonderful. We also have up here, we have pronouns renown and inspiration as well.
Yeah, so renown and inspiration are currencies that you get during the game. Renown being renown being the mechanic that I describe as the mean thing that the game does, where every time you save somebody, every time you roll the d6 to determine how well you save someone, every time you don't roll a 1, your renown goes up by 1. Basically, like the Spider-Man montage of like this paper swirls at the camera and says like Spider-Man saves a cat from a tree. Is he a menace? And like you get that build up, and then when the downfall happens, your renown is the number of dice that you pull out of the deck and you cast aside, never to be shuffled back in the deck, to represent an irreparable harm that that the villain of the story has dealt to the city that can never be recovered. It's the meanest thing that the game does, because as your number goes up, you're like, hey, my number's going up. And then it's like, actually, I'm gonna stop you.
Going up.
It's like, actually, I'm gonna stop you.
You shouldn't want that.
And then every time you roll a 6, you get a point of inspiration, which allows you to overcome injuries or like stop collateral damage or add extra dice to a roll, which represents your like, you know, as you can tell by the name, Spider-Verse was fresh on my mind when I wrote this game. And inspiration is what I describe as my what's up danger mechanic. It is the currency you spend to have that cool montage moment where Spider-Man does the sickest shit on the planet and saves the day, and everybody smiles and applauds.
I do like that.
Perfect.
So now I have to give another tangent. Can I give you another?
Please.
Can I give you both a core moment of the game in a nutshell? This is my core example of the game in a nutshell, and legit a thing that I might cry while breaking down beat for beat.
Yeah, let's go for it.
maybe the best example of play of what anyone of play and theme of what anyone can wear the mask is as a game is the scene from Spider-Man 2 on the subway.
Yep.
Where Dr. Octopus, as the villain, is throwing train cars at Peter, and he pulls the train off the tracks and it loses control. The villain has you've introduced the play. The city has introduced a location, the subway, and the villain has said, "Here's the danger." Doc Ock has pulled the train off the tracks. The hero determines how they're going to save the day. He does the thing with the webs. And then like the hero and the city decide how it looks. And in that moment, the villain has put people in danger. The hero has sacrificed themselves to protect those people. And in that moment that is guaranteed to make me cry, when his mask comes off and the kid says, "Oh, don't worry, we don't know. We're not going to say nothing to nobody." Like that moment, poof, I'm there it is. There are the tears. I'm going to take a moment. That's the game, right? That interaction of like, hey, you just saved our lives and we're going to protect you, and so that you can continue to save our lives. That to me is the game in a nutshell. To me, it is one of the best moments of superhero fiction ever made, and it is what I desire. It is the story that I want to come out of Anyone Can Wear the Mask. In a
That's
nutshell.
wonderful. That's wonderful. And actually, it kind of leads to a question that we had from our Discord ahead of this. And I feel like if we can answer this and then we can take a quick break. But the question was around what parts of superhero narratives lend themselves best to RPGs? And are there ways to capture some of the formal elements of like comic storytelling in a game? This feels very in line with that.
I think the things that most lend themselves to RPGs are, and this is a moment of profound self-introspection as I realize how much the same the two things that I love in this world are. It's that perfect mix of absolute larger than life cannot be represented anywhere else but here, like fantasy, and like deep interpersonal, we are two people sharing a moment together drama. Like those are the two things that make superhero comics. Superhero comics are an inherently fantastical medium, especially like superheroes in particular. Like it is a fantastical thing.
Right.
And a lot of superhero comics really take advantage of the fact that there are things on the page that cannot possibly be recreated, right? Like
Right.
even in today's world of CGI spectacle, like there's stuff in comics that simply, like there are things done with the form and with the art and with the intersection of art and word that cannot be recreated. They are just a unique entity, and that sort of like sense of like we are creating a world and a visual and a fiction and a language that like can only exist in this space is the kind of space that also exists in like role-playing games, because we can just say, hey, this really cool world-breaking thing happens and I don't have to try and justify it or rein it back or, you know, make it any more of a reality, because it is exactly 100% real by way of me saying it is exactly 100% real. And I think that is legitimately a fascinating thing. The other half of that is because we are people sitting around a table together. There is that sense of like personal connection that is the other thing that superhero comics thrive on. And I think that those are the two parts of the pieces of the puzzle that like transfer really well from one vibe to the other, and one genre and one medium to the other, is that sense of we are having these deep personal moments because we are people sitting around telling each other stories, but we're also telling stories of worlds that are wholly in our imagination. So we are able to create whatever that world looks like to us in that moment.
I love that. That's beautiful.
I went to school for comic books and I don't often get to like just unleash a thesis.
No, that's
so
perfect.
I appreciate it.
We'll post thesis real fast. Let's take like a 5 and then we'll come
Let's
back
do
and
it.
talk about comics or something.
Let's do it.
Great. And Look, we're back. We have good vibes now.
We're back. We have the best vibes. We're back. Character study. Jeff Stormer, the Incredible. We are working our way through Anyone Can Wear the Mask, creating Jeff as a character as a whole. I hesitate to say a character as like a whole.
We're making the Jeff Stormer comic book series.
Yeah,
especially
kinda.
because like we're at the point now that I might have to ask the two of you for input on.
Ooh.
Oh.
Because like I am not sure quite what this section like the final section of like fleshing out the Jeff Stormer superhero adventures comic book looks like. We have to decide what our villainous threats and dangers are.
Ooh.
Which
There's
is to
a
say,
couple
like,
ways.
Yeah, please.
There's a couple ways you can look at that, right? Like if we're framing it in the context of like getting to know Jeff while also like building out this. I mean, I could see this being you, Jeff, establishing what you think villainy looks like, or capturing personal hardships if you want to like go there. It could be a lot of things.
This has become now Jeff's hot takes corner where I just list
Hell
10
yeah.
things I dislike.
Hell yeah. Do you
I
think
like
systems
that.
matter, Jeff?
Everybody had a great time. I'm gonna go ahead and log off.
You know what? That's very fair. That's
I gotta
very
go.
Fair.
I think that what this is like, let's collectively talk and do a little bit of like just grounding and also world building of like what's the vibe of the book that we have mapped out, right? Like what do we see as like a standard issue of the thing? Because I don't think it's like a straightforward superhero thing in the way that like it would be easy to be like these are supervillains, but like I don't know if it's quite the vibe. So with the thing, like the world details that we've thrown in, like what do you see as an issue or an adventure that is in this story space?
I mean, if we're talking about the different neighborhoods or whatever, it could be like my brain just legitimately goes to like hot take city of like Ttrpg..com, and half of it is just our hero Jeff has to use their tech wizard powers to sort of keep that neighborhood clean.
Defeat
like,
a bad take.
Yeah, like it just sort of like keep bad things off the streets, right? That's what heroes do, is they help keep things cool, keep them fresh.
I think like what I want to build on that, like, because yeah, you're right. I'm thinking about like what does it mean for this character to exist in those neighborhoods, one of them being Twitter.com. And like I think this version, this is a divergence from Jeff, the person who does all of his work from the couch in the living room.
Mm-hmm.
I think the vibe that I get is like, if I am making the idealized version of myself, that idealized version of myself is a 90s tech wizard, but also still an artist.
Mm-hmm.
And so I
like
think
that.
it's almost like using the magic of technology to make art in different contexts.
Oh, I like that a lot.
So I almost wonder if instead of threats, it is like contexts of work is the best way to describe it, right? Like it is almost a prompt of like this is the objective of a piece of like these are the objectives of the work that you are making in each of these neighborhoods for these different people.
Right. Mm-hmm.
And that becomes a degree of tech wizardry, is that becomes like a cyberpunk. Random thing. I feel like Philadelphia would be a sick location for like cyberpunk stuff. And I'm just throwing that idea out to the universe
into the universe for anyone to hear.
Like I'm not gonna do anything with that, but I do think that it would be sick to see that.
The things I know about Philadelphia, I could fill maybe a thimble with. So I'm like, yeah, Cyber Liberty Bell.
Like that
Cyber Gritty. Cyber Abbott Elementary.
Cyber Gritty is a mood. That is a mood and a vibe.
100%.
I just feel like that aesthetic of like an old, like a centuries old city that has like a deep sense of history, that also like you see this directly outside of the Philadelphia Convention Center, and it pisses me off. This is segued into hot takes.
Hell yeah.
They put those mammoth smart screen billboards onto buildings around 13th Street, which is where like City Hall is. Or rather, City Hall's on 15th Street, but like onto like old buildings, right? That like have that old colonial architecture. And they just slapped these smart screen billboards onto there. And the way that it looks of like this very old, very like intricately built building that just has like a giant ad for crypto smeared onto it.
There's something discordant about that.
There's something there, and I don't have it, but like there's something there, and I just needed to like break down the logistics of that visual.
Yeah.
And also express that I hate it deeply.
So whoever did that, hey, personally, fuck
You're
you.
one of our villains.
You're one of the villains.
Guy who put up the glowing billboard.
Yeah, so like what are the contexts? And I guess that's where we get to the interview question, right? Like what are the contexts of the work? What are the objectives that work takes in this fictionalized Philadelphia?
Yeah.
I'm probably not going to fill out all of them.
No, I don't think you need to.
No, I think top 3 or 5 at most.
I think like and I guess this is like the things that the objectives in my work that are important to me that I want to see reflected in this fictional version of Jeff as he does the superheroic version of take on jobs and do this work. So I think that like what's the superheroic I'm gonna put down like promote good work. And I almost just think that like the superheroic version of that, and I'm gonna put it in parentheses, is almost like a cyberpunk courier service almost would be sick.
Yeah. I feel like it's sort of the you're trolling the web to find like a need and are promoting folks to fulfill that need. You know what I mean?
Like taking someone's message and like getting it where it needs to go, I think is like a good core, is like how you translate that vibe, right? Like it is more directly and more one-to-one. You know, you have a piece of information that needs to get to someone and I'm going to get it to that person. Because like that to me, like that getting that message to someone is very important to me.
I like this a lot.
I think like write down charity fundraising. I think it's almost like broadcasting is like a good like secondary phrase for it, but like the work that we do to like raise money for charities through podcasting and games is like very important to me. And if I were to translate that into a superheroic context, that vibe of like pirate radio is probably how I would describe
I love it.
It's like there is like a political movement in this cyberpunk Philadelphia that like needs to get their message out, like being a tech wizard that is helping them bypass the firewall and broadcast out, and then putting that illegal message on the wire. Like that is sick. It is much cooler than I am in reality. But I appreciate the vibe.
So I have to ask, like around the charity work, are there particular charities that are like close, near and dear to your heart in this vein?
There are. I really like there are charities that I always try to do work for. I like raising money for local charities very specifically. Like I feel like given that my reach is not always the largest, I think that like and it's important to support smaller organizations, and also like sometimes like supporting a smaller organization like that impact can be felt a lot more acutely. I will
Right.
shout out. I haven't formally announced this yet, so this is a character study
Exclusive.
exclusive.
Amazing.
The organization that we are fundraising for this year's Talking Nog is City Kitties, which is a West Philadelphia cat adoption and spay neuter release program in West Philly specifically. It's where we got Carla Tortelli, which is my cat named after a Cheers
Amazing.
character. She
Amazing.
is the light of my life, and I love her. And like they do great work in like making sure that cats have shelter in the winter, and that they make sure that they are taken care of, that they're off the streets, that they get good forever homes. We've done a lot of work we've raised money for the Attic, which is an LGBTQ plus youth center and shelter in Philadelphia specifically. We usually, for Miracle Monday, which is our big stream in May, which is 6 months away, and I probably have to start working on that. Um, Sometimes you start talking about a thing
Yep,
and then
and you're
you
like,
realize
oh
there's
no.
work, and you're
I
like,
watched as you were like, yeah, I'm talking about this thing, and then I watched you
The
run
light
through like the
dye in your
checklist
eyes.
of like the things that need to happen for that to like occur, and it was, oh no.
we've always raised money for Trans Lifeline for Miracle Monday because it's a valuable organization that I think like is just worth doing good for.
Mhm.
But like I try to do the most good for the most different places with a focus on like queer issue stuff, because that is, we're all fighting this together. There's no justice for any of us until there's justice for all of us. And if I can raise money for good causes in that space, that's the best use of this tiny sliver of internet micro niche fame that I have
Yeah, yeah,
cultivated over the years.
Oh, to be a
this is
niche
wonderful.
web influencer.
The web.
The web.
Yeah, sick. This is good.
One more how about one more aspect of your work here, Jeff?
One more aspect that I think like there is like the best thing I can put here is this is cool. What I'm really liking here is like I'm getting the vibe of like what this superheroic character's deal is, and I'm starting
Yeah.
to see this, and now the answers are coming a little more easily
Mhm.
in the small way that I think I can contribute to this in a meaningful fashion. Like I'm gonna put down, just in general, speak truth to power.
I love it.
I like, I mean, all art is political. I think that's not a like that is just a fact. I'm not going to argue that, and I don't
Yeah.
think either of you are going to ask
No,
me
you're
to,
good.
because it's simply a
No.
reality. But like including including political themes that resonate with me. The number of Party of One episodes you can look at and go, "Oh, got it. The villain is capitalism. Perfect. Understood." Like that is important to me. I several people over the years have said to me that like ending every Party of One with a reminder to fight the forces of fascism every single day like is motivated them, and that makes me feel uh overwhelmed and touched, but also in a sense of like I don't like there's a vibe of like God, I don't know how to process the fact that that has like that thing that I do has an impact. It is like a weird, it is moving to a degree that like makes it feel weird, to the point where I don't talk about it, but I do want to, but I acknowledge that it is, makes me proud to a degree that like has motivated me to keep going at periods of my work where I felt like hanging it up. Like if I had to point to the things that like I am most proud of, it's the fundraising, and it's the fact that people have said like I stayed politically active because I got a reminder to keep fighting on your show, and to be kind to myself because you say that self-love and self-care are radical acts of resistance, and like that means a lot. Like that means a lot to have that interaction with people.
Mhm.
It is a profound experience that like puts into perspective, the things that we're really doing when we do this blatantly absurd art form of making and playing into a microphone tabletop role-playing games.
Yeah, it's the playing silly games with your friends to like making a difference pipeline.
Yeah,
Right.
it's a weird pipeline.
Uh-huh. Yeah,
Like, I don't
absolutely.
think I'm never gonna be like comfortable with that pipeline when I'm presented with it, but I'm always gonna be like, fuck, I am really happy that we were able to define and cultivate this pipeline.
Perfect. Well, that's 3. I feel like that's basically all the things, is it not?
That's basically all the character setup stuff. Then it would just be playing the game.
Perfect. And we're not doing that today.
We are
We're
not
not
doing
doing
that.
But if folks did want to play Anyone Can Wear the Mask, where could they find it?
You can find it at jeffstormer.itch.io/mask. You can also find all of my work, that is my podcasts, games, all of the things that I create at jeffstormer.com.
Just on the screen.
And yeah, you can check out Party of One at partyofonepodcast.com. That is my 2-player actual play podcast. And you can check out I think those are all of the links. Oneshotpodcast.com. You can find all my fantasy children as a part of the One Shot Network. You can also go to tinyurl.com. God, I made this URL and I have to try to remember it. tinyurl.com/Yazeba's podcast is the Yazeba's Bed and Breakfast podcast.
Nice.
Which is a 4-episode actual play of a slice of life actual play. And I think those are all of the links that I would throw out as like where you can find the thing.
Awesome. I know we're done making a character, but I have more questions.
I was gonna ask that. I didn't have a good segue, so I'm glad that you.
I have more questions if we have more time, and
Yeah,
I'll just remind chat as well.
I'm gonna post this in our Discord chat. Just note the two of you to look for it real fast, but keep going.
Okay, yeah, we're gonna get to that in a second. But at chat, if you have questions, feel free. We're keeping an eye out. If there's any hot takes that you demand to know of Jeff, now is your time. This is it. This is the only way. Direct access.
This is it. This is it. This is your moment. I am an open book now, and I will not be in half an hour.
Ever again.
If you shoot me a question in half an hour, I will respond with fury and spite, and you don't want that.
This is only good faith here, which I'm going to launch immediately into this question. How do you feel about the song that Keegan has posted in our Discord?
6 cups. I don't know this song, so you're going to hear me play the song in my headphones at this
which
moment.
is amazing.
And we're not going to play it live. It is 6 Cups of Eggnog by Larry Costa. I think we'd get taken down if I played it.
I appreciate 100%. That it's from Crooner Media LLC. I really do need to acknowledge that.
Actually, I'm just gonna play the preview.
6 cups of eggnog, not a cup more.
Great. I listened to 5 seconds of it. I think that's all I can get away with. This is making
seems to have a
incredible radio for everybody else who can't hear it. So we're just
gonna. It's just a vibe.
Yeah. Just know everybody but you, dear viewer, is listening to a song right now
and having a great time.
This is, in fact, delightful. 6 cups of eggnog is a lot. I do need to emphasize this.
On a scale from 1 to 5, given how much you've listened to it, where would you place it?
This is probably a solid 3. This is probably like a good, strong Christmas classic. It's got a little bit of comedy. I'm a little confused about the line that says "down to the old gin mill," because I don't feel like gin is a real eggnog spirit. Like,
actually, no, not at all.
Like, there are a lot. I've seen some great. I've seen and heard reports of some great tequila bait like eggnogs. Obviously, rum is a classic. Bourbon is a classic. Like, I feel like gin though.
That's like just a weird floral note to add to your eggnog.
Right? Yeah,
the spruce
and the pine. Like, I don't.
Listen, y'all underestimate people's love of that good Christmas tree goodness.
Ugh.
Like, put that shit in everything.
Once you phrase
I'm not one of them.
Tastes
but
like a Christmas tree, and you're not wrong. It does make
your
more sense
life's
than
never
eggnog.
gonna need it.
It does.
Yeah,
it
no,
does
100%.
make more sense when I think about it in terms of.
how can I get more Christmas holiday season spirit into this one beverage? I'll put some gin and eggnog and stir it with a candy cane and like call it good. Like 100% someone's doing that.
I don't
mean,
know if
you're
Sarah
not-
knows about talking nog, but we've talked about eggnog multiple times, and I love that she's just going with it.
Listen, here's the thing about it. I don't know the eggnog lore. I don't need to know the eggnog lore. But if there's one thing you can know about me is I will always lean into the bit.
Do you want to know the eggnog lore? Because it is great.
I think, yeah, absolutely.
So
It was one
host
of those things. I want to just preface. It was one of those things that Keegan just sent me a note that said, "Hey, add King of Eggnog onto the bio. I'm not gonna explain." And I was like, "All right,
I do
okay, all right."
appreciate that. Keegan, I really do appreciate that a lot.
Yeah, of course.
So of the podcasts that I host, one of them, and maybe the most important of them, because it is the one in which I am a world authority,
Ooh,
is a once a year podcast I host on the 23rd of December every year called Talking Nog, which is the world's
Amazing.
only eggnog enthusiast podcast. It is all eggnog questions. We answer listener questions. We look at listener photos. It
this is
is
delightful.
it is
Honestly, one of the most delightful watch experiences of your life.
it is really wonderful. It is special. We did it we did one over the summer where I drank ranch nog. That
Oh,
was a
no.
bad idea, and I won't be replicating it.
No, because you said the word ranch nog. No.
Here's
No.
Here's the thing. I didn't create the ranch nog.
Oh no.
Hidden Valley Ranch hired a mixologist to figure out what ranch nog would be.
This is my thing. You use the word, I didn't create the ranch nog, not mix, brew, like create, as if you are pulling together like different elements from across space and time.
I mean,
I
it is
assume that's
that.
how Hidden Valley did it. We did make a bottle. We did make a jar of it. It was the worst thing I've ever tasted.
Yeah, I can't even imagine. So was it just like ranch dressing eggnog?
No, it was like an entire. First off, it wasn't really eggnog. Like that was the first.
All right, let's
problem
get that out of the way.
Was like, and this is was not really eggnog, because they were like, they're making Hidden Valley Ranch nog. So we brought in a mixologist from this spirit company.
Great.
And it's a tequila brandy. Like it was
Oh,
a
no.
mezcal brandy. It had egg and cream, so I guess it qualified, but like it had sage and herbs, and like it wasn't
All of Hidden Valley's hidden spices. I'm tracking.
it didn't have Hidden Valley Ranch powder mixed into it.
Honestly, small miracles that it didn't have straight up ranch mixed into it.
Yeah.
So I took it. So we made this and we let it sit and I tasted it live on stream. And honestly, like the shocking thing was that like it wasn't bad. Like it wasn't terrible for a barbecue sauce. Like for a barbecue sauce, it was like I would marinate a chicken in this. I was like, you marinate a chicken in this for a couple hours, like I would eat this. This would make pretty good barbecue. Not good for eggnog and not good for drink, but like if I were to use this in a marinade, I could see it.
I feel like that sentence could have gone anywhere, and barbecue sauce was not what I anticipated. Like, it's not a bad paint thinner. It's not a bad
Well, because the thing
like
is, like,
cleaning solution.
the mezcal made it smoky in a way that like it
Mm.
would not have been.
No.
Mezcal made it smoky, and then you get the mix of the smoke, the herbs, the cream.
Yeah, this is a lot.
I was like, this is a meat marinade, is what you have concocted here.
And you've told everyone it's a drink.
You told everyone that this is a holiday beverage. You lied to me. You lied to me as the expert in this. But anyway, I am the world authority on eggnog. No one has committed as much energy into eggnog-related journalism as I have. And that's a title that I will take to my grave.
Yeah, listen, I'm on board. I'm supportive. I will defend this line.
Good. I'm glad. I appreciate this. I appreciate that you see the truth.
Yeah, I will lend my skills to your cause.
Yeah, see,
however they may help.
This is exactly why I did not describe the eggnog thing to you before we started, because I just knew you'd be delighted live.
Yeah, it's wonderful. It's very there's a special magic about people finding like a thing that it doesn't have to make sense. It doesn't have to come from anywhere, but like this is my thing. Like I know everything there is to know about it. I love it.
I want to
It's a
emphasize.
tradition.
I do need to emphasize. I do
No,
not
no,
know
Jeff.
everything.
You know everything
about it.
That's fair. No, that's fair. I do. I did make it a rule when we first launched the show that I have held to, where I refuse to do any research. I will answer questions confidently, but I will not confirm if my answers are correct.
Ever read an article about eggnog. Do not send them to me.
If you ask me a question, I will answer it.
Amazing.
Do not know if that answer will be correct.
I fundamentally do not understand how eggnog is made, and I'm not learning.
I like this a lot. I'm going to pivot away from the world of podcasting and eggnog and ranch nog, a little bit back into like the game design element. One of the questions
I
we
reluctantly accept this.
That's okay. Listen, we might not be pivoting is the thing about it. I think we might, but I could be wrong, and I often am. The question we got was, what have you learned about AP podcasting that informs your game design and vice versa? Like, is there any overlap, any lessons learned that you've taken from one medium to the other?
So let's talk about eggnog.
Yeah.
Yes.
No,
let's do it.
I wish that I could just force us back. A legitimately great question. I think the biggest thing that I learned is that like questions make everything more like everything is more compelling when it is in the form of a question. I think like leaving those spaces specifically for here, like leaving those spaces that are like here's a place for you to explore and for you to tell me how it works is an incredibly compelling thing. I think that like there's an incredible amount of joy that comes from like I don't have the answer to this. There's an incredible amount of joy that comes from I don't know, you figure this out. There's an incredible amount of joy in like tell me what this looks like, and I think like those are places where a lot of like joy happens in gameplay that can be cultivated in design, that like hearing actual plays and hearing like the direction and like hearing people like explore those blank spaces is I think the thing that makes really joyful, that like has helped me in playing games and exploring those blank spaces myself, has helped me really understand how to like cultivate those experiences in game design. I'm a sucker for a good evocative question, and like answering those questions and playing in those spaces has been the thing that like really drives drives my passion when I'm playing games, and then drives my passion when designing games.
I like that. I think I would echo it with, I feel like the best games that I've played do a really good job of leaving those open-ended questions for everyone to answer, right? Like across the board. Collectively, no one has the answer, like, or individually, no one has the answer. Collectively, we're going to define it.
Yeah.
And that's a special kind of, it's a special kind of magic that I don't think I've ever experienced outside of like TTRPGs.
And I think the other thing is like, you learn very quickly doing actual doing actual play. You learn very quickly to be largely okay with people not like, you learn to be not precious with like design choices, because you know that players are going to change things, right? Like it's that idea of like, I don't give like take this thing and do with it what you will. Like I truly am okay with that. And like part of that is because I hear people play it and they're like, well, we're going to use this and actually use this, and we're going to leave this part of the game off because we're going to pick this up in our max actual play next week. And it's like, cool, that works. I enjoy that. Like I think there's a lot of joy in like figuring and like seeing how that experience like maps out at the table. And I think that there's a lot that is gained from playing in those spaces and like playing things on mic and processing things on mic and bringing that space back into my design and building it with a sense of like, I'm going to tell my part of the story and then I want to see what comes out. Like learning to not be attached to the resolution half of the story is what I would say. Like that sense of like, I can write an interesting unanswered question. And, you know, you might not even answer it, but I like having it in the space.
That's awesome. I do like that a lot. I feel like I want to pivot back to some of the comics question. We had some.
We're pivoting back to eggnog.
What superhero can't get enough eggnog?
It's got to be Superman, right?
A hundy pee.
Like
that
dude. That dude loves. That dude loved like the Kents, Mom, Pa Kent make a fucking killer eggnog.
Yeah.
They are aging. That is farm raised eggs. They are aging that over the year. They got that in the ice box.
You're right.
They are going hard on eggnog.
And my flip question is, what villain would be trying to get rid of all eggnog?
What villain is most likely to
hate eggnog?
Yeah,
it's
I just want to get rid of all
Sarah.
of it.
It's a little story called everybody gather
around. The Grinch
we're now going
to
we're gonna read the Grinch live on. Let me go grab my copy and we're gonna read it. Can I actually tell you a weird piece of DC lore though?
Yes,
please.
Yes, you can.
Darkseid, the new god, the Lord of Evil, hates Santa Claus canonically.
Amazing.
I'm Darkseid.
Specifically because every single year Santa Claus penetrates all of the defenses of Apocalypse and like undermines all of their powers and like walks into Darkseid's throne room. His Omega beams do not work on Santa Claus, and he walks up to Santa and every single year hands him a piece of coal.
This is phenomenal.
And it is
this is amazing.
That he...
Like Santa just Santa straight Claus. Up. Yeah, it just absolutely destroys everything. He's like, "Here you go, you little bitch."
He walks up.
Amazing.
Like the actual comic, he's like burnt and like there's holes in his outfit. He's been blasted with lasers, and he's like,
does it do the dark shading over his eyes so he just looks really intense and menacing?
No, it's just perfectly jolly. Big smile. Walks up and goes, "Oh, let me check the list. Darkseid. Sorry, naughty again. Here's your piece of gold."
That's a fucking power move. That's amazing. That's hashtag my Santa. Absolutely. That's phenomenal.
Checking the list in front of him. Power move.
Yeah, 100%. Like as if, let me consider. His like his little coat still singed from like the lasers. Like maybe this year. Maybe this year you got it.
I've made my list and I have to check it twice.
This is delightful. Some of the other questions we got around comic stuff was who your favorite comic artist is and a favorite single issue of a comic.
My favorite single issue of a comic, I can answer that very, very easily, is All-Star Superman issue 10, written by Grant Morrison, drawn by Frank Quitely. It is the premise of All-Star Superman is that Superman has been in saving a group of astronauts. Superman got overexposed to solar energy. His blood cells are exploding and he is going to die sometime in the next several months. Like it is the last days of Superman as a character. And issue 10 is very specifically him like performing some of his final miracles before he goes. One of which, and like a running undercurrent of the issue, is he has created a fictitious Earth to test the theory of what happens to a world in which Superman is never born. He's like, is the world going to be okay without a Superman? And so you see it, and you see a day in the life of Superman of him like zipping between storylines and saving people. It's where that very iconic Superman stops a girl from jumping off a building by giving her a hug page comes from. But throughout it, you see like the history of this world that Superman has like engineered in a lab. But what you see is like Nietzsche is like, it's like Friedrich Nietzsche's being like, there's this theory of the Ubermensch, and like you see these pieces of like this idea of a Superman like throughout history, and the final page is like at the end of the day, Superman like ends his day, and we cut to this world that he's no longer paying attention to, and it's 1938, it's Cleveland, and it's a guy drawing on a piece of paper, and he says like, I just drew something that I think is going to be really, really special. And it's like, I'm going to pause here. I'm going to compose myself. But that idea of like, there must like, if Superman was not in this world would create a Superman, is like an extremely like, it's cool. It's like a neat thing.
Yeah.
And it plays with the themes of the story really well. It is my favorite issue of any comic. My favorite comic artist. Who is the artist? I really love the work of Kevin Maguire, who is the artist that did Justice League International, which is the 80s comedy run of Justice League. I think nobody draws a face quite like Kevin Maguire. He is an incredible artist. He does like amazing stuff that like is fun, and then he draws action scenes that like pop out. But I think my honest answer, I just don't think anybody did it. I don't think anybody in history has done it like Jack Kirby. I think Jack Kirby is what superhero comics have spent the last 75 years trying to emulate.
That's a very fair take, honestly.
Like, I think that he didn't invent the art form, but he perfected it, truly.
Yeah, that's honestly just real fair.
Agreed. Awesome. That exhausts our questions from the Discord, Keegan.
I was just gonna say, I think it sounds like we've come to the end, but you beat me
Yeah.
there.
Yeah. No, I think that sets. Unless Jeff, there's any just hot takes that you're holding in your that are just taking up the valuable space of your talented mind that you just gotta get out.
That I gotta just unload.
Yeah, now's the time. Just on a chain of them. You know what I mean? Like when like a magician pulling out an endless handkerchief chain, just like pop them off.
You know what? I held my tongue for too long. I have sat with this in my heart for far too long, and it's time to let my feelings be known.
Could not agree more.
Arby's is fine. Like, it's fine. It's not the best, but it's fine.
I'm gonna make an even hotter take here, which is I haven't had Arby's in 10 years because I've been vegetarian for like 10 plus years, and they literally don't have anything vegetarian on the menu. But when I could eat there, I thought it was actually good.
It's perfectly good. It's a perfectly good like you grab I will get an Arby's lunch.
Mm-hmm.
I will perfectly enjoy it. It is neither any better nor any worse than any other fast food lunch that I have had.
No, see,
like,
this is where I disagree. I have vivid memories of those fucking onion buns.
Here's the thing about it, and this is what I love about
I do love those onion buns.
They're really good is the thing.
As a child, when we would go like on road trips or whatever, we need to stop to like get food. There was one place that I would sob and beg, please God, please, can we not go there? It's horrendous. To the point where my mom struck it, like she wouldn't even bring it up because she knew I would be inconsolable for hours, and that was Arby's.
This is 3 extremely different takes on Arby's, and I think this is where we need to end.
I think this is it. I think we ended it.
Awesome. Well, Jeff, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you so much for having me.
Was delightful. Just a reminder to everybody, if you want to get Anyone Can Wear the Mask, we've got the little link there on the overlay.
Oh yeah, right. Anyone Can Wear the Mask. It should be in the +1 store like this coming week, I believe.
So definitely.
Yeah, right. There are print copies that are available.
They look really nice. I held one in my hand and then forgot to purchase it.
There will also be print copies available on my website in the next several weeks whenever I test Shopify to make sure that it does the things I need it to do. And then I hit the button that says publish. So stay tuned for that.
It's going to be a race.
Awesome. Jeff, before we go, anything you want to promo or state?
No, I pretty much dropped. I dropped my hottest take.
The hottest take that there is. Keegan, do we have anything to announce from like a +1 standpoint?
We have a game coming up.
We do. The cult does, certainly.
Yeah, I'm not digging for it right now because I don't remember.
So we're playing Blackwater Games with Blackwater Games on December 19th at 8 p.m. Eastern time. The details of which, we're playing
Backwater, yeah.
Blackwater game. Yeah. So I'm really excited about that. We'll be back next month in January for another character study. So keep an eye out for that as we continue to broadcast this Batman fan cast.
I think next month, and I haven't actually confirmed this, so if this isn't true, we're just going to erase this part of this stream. It'll have never been announced. I think next month we're going to try to get this do character study with my local game stores owner, which would be interesting.
Yeah.
That'll be good.
I'm really excited. I'm really, really excited. So check it out. Do the thing, YouTube, Twitch, all the places. And I think that's it.
Great.
I just want to real quick formally apologize for just like I've been like messing with like stickers, and I realized I was like, it's probably not great streaming etiquette to be like this. Like
it's okay.
Anyway.
I have a whole second monitor that faces this way, and it looks like I'm just not paying attention every time I
I'm not interested.
And on that note of disinterest, I'm gonna say goodbye to everybody and tell them that